Glass marbles. These small, colorful spheres have fascinated humanity for centuries. They've been cherished as toys, collectibles, and even works of art. But have you ever wondered how these perfect little orbs are created? Today on Everyday Nuggets, we're diving into how the process of making glass marbles combines ancient techniques with modern manufacturing methods to produce these seemingly simple yet remarkably complex objects. Before we dive into how modern glass marbles are made, let's take a brief journey through their history. The earliest marbles date back to ancient civilizations, with evidence of marble-like objects found in Egyptian tombs dating back to as far as 4000 BCE. These early versions were typically made from clay, stone, or nuts. The Romans were among the first to create glass marbles around 2000 years ago, using techniques similar to those still employed today. However, it wasn't until the mid-1800s that marbles began to be mass-produced in Germany, particularly in the region of Thuringia. German glassblowers developed specialized techniques and tools specifically for marble making, establishing the foundation for modern manufacturing methods. At their core, glass marbles are made from the same basic materials as other glass products. The primary ingredient is silica sand, silicon dioxide, which comprises about 70 to 74% of the mixture. To lower the melting temperature of the silica, soda ash, sodium carbonate, is added, making up approximately 12 to 16% of the mix. Limestone, calcium carbonate, adds durability to the glass, contributing about 5 to 11% of the total composition. Depending on the desired properties and colors, other additives may be included. Feldspar helps with glass formation. Cullet, recycled glass, helps reduce energy costs. Various metal oxides create different colors. Cobalt oxide produces blue. Chromium and iron oxides create green. Gold chloride yields a rich ruby red. Manganese dioxide creates purple. Selenium compounds produce red or pink. Uranium oxide gives a fluorescent yellow or green. While most marbles today are machine-made, the traditional handcrafting process offers insight into the artistry behind these glass spheres. This method, sometimes referred to as the pointille technique, has remained largely unchanged for centuries. The glassmaker begins by heating a glass rod until it becomes malleable. Using a specialized torch that can reach temperatures of 2000 to 2700 degrees Fahrenheit, 1093 to 1482 degrees Celsius, the artisan softens the glass until it reaches a honey-like consistency. Gravity naturally helps form the initial spherical shape as the glass begins to droop. The glassmaker then twists and turns the rod, using skilled hand movements to ensure the glass forms a perfect sphere. This requires years of practice to master, as the glass must be continuously rotated to maintain its shape while cooling. Any pause would result in a lopsided marble. For patterned marbles, the artist may add layers of different colored glass, cut cross-sections, or twist the glass to create intricate designs. These decorative elements are what make handcrafted marbles particularly valuable and collectible. Once shaped, the marble is cut from the rod, leaving a small mark called the pointille mark, where the glass is separated. The marble is then slowly cooled in a process called annealing, which relieves internal stresses and prevents cracking. Without proper annealing, even perfectly formed marbles would eventually crack due to internal tension. While handmade marbles are beautiful, they can't meet worldwide demand. That's where modern manufacturing comes in. Today, most glass marbles are produced using specialized machines that can make thousands of marbles per hour. The process begins with the same basic glass composition, which is melted in large furnaces at temperatures of approximately 2700 degrees Fahrenheit, 1482 degrees Celsius. The molten glass flows from the furnace in a continuous ribbon or stream, ready for shaping. In one standard method, the molten glass passes through a series of rollers that cut and shape it into small cubes or slugs. These roughly shaped pieces are then fed into a machine with two spiral-grooved rollers set at a slight angle to each other. As the glass slugs travel down these grooves, they're simultaneously rolled and cooled, gradually forming into perfect spheres. Another machine method involves shearing the molten glass stream into precise droplets, which naturally form into spheres as they fall due to surface tension. These droplets are then caught and rolled along cooling tracks until they solidify. For colored and patterned machine-made marbles, different colored glass streams can be combined before shaping, or colored glass can be injected into the main stream to create swirls, twists, and other designs. The freshly cut marbles travel down a conveyor belt through a specialized cooling tunnel, also known as a layer. This carefully engineered tunnel gradually reduces the temperature of the marbles over several hours. The precise cooling schedule depends on the size and type of glass used, but generally follows a pattern. First, the marbles are held at a temperature just below their softening point, typically around 900 degrees Fahrenheit, 482 degrees Celsius, for a period of time. This allows any internal stresses in the glass to relax. Then, the temperature is lowered very gradually, sometimes only a few degrees per minute, until the marbles reach room temperature. Have you ever wondered why some cheap marbles crack easily while quality ones last for generations? The secret lies mainly in this cooling process. When done correctly, annealing creates marbles with remarkable durability. Whether handmade or machine-produced, all marbles must undergo a controlled cooling process. This annealing step is critical to ensure the durability of the final product. The marbles are placed in special annealing ovens where they're gradually cooled from their forming temperature down to room temperature. This slow cooling allows the glass molecules to arrange themselves in a stable configuration, relieving internal stresses that could otherwise cause the marble to crack or shatter unexpectedly. Depending on the size and type of marble, this annealing process can take anywhere from several hours to a full day. Now that our marbles have taken shape, they aren't quite ready for that marble race or your collection just yet. There's still a fascinating journey ahead as these glass spheres are transformed from rough, hot orbs into the smooth, polished treasures we know and love. After the cutting process separates individual marbles from the continuous ribbon of glass, they're still extremely hot, around 1000 degrees Fahrenheit, 538 degrees Celsius. At this temperature, the marbles are far too dangerous to handle and haven't yet developed their characteristic smooth finish. Once cooled, our marbles still have a ways to go. The cutting process leaves minor marks or imperfections on their surface. These rough-edged marbles then undergo a tumbling process where they're placed in large rotating drums with progressively finer abrasive materials. Initially, coarse abrasives remove major imperfections. As the process continues, finer and finer materials are used until the marbles develop their characteristic glossy finish. This tumbling can last anywhere from a few hours to several days, depending on the quality desired. The transformation is remarkable. What started as somewhat dull, imperfect spheres becomes brilliantly clear, perfectly smooth marbles. For certain premium marbles, additional hand polishing may be applied to achieve an exceptional finish. Next comes inspection and sorting. While modern marble manufacturing is highly automated, quality control remains essential. Marbles are inspected for defects like cracks, bubbles, or irregularities. This may be done by high-speed optical scanners, or, in some factories, by human inspectors for premium collections. Sorting also classifies marbles by size. The standard marble that probably comes to mind is about 5/8 of an inch in diameter, Still, marbles are manufactured in various sizes, ranging from tiny 1/4-inch peewees to jumbo 1-inch shooters, or even larger specialty marbles. For specialty marbles, additional finishing techniques create unique effects that collectors prize. Some marbles undergo a process called irising, where metallic compounds are applied to the hot glass surface and then fired in a reducing atmosphere. This creates an iridescent surface with colors that shift depending on viewing angle. Other marbles may be etched with acid to create frosted patterns, or undergo a second heating process to produce specific effects within the glass. The possibilities are nearly endless, which explains why marble collecting has become such a passionate hobby for many. Finally, after inspection and sorting, the completed marbles are packaged for distribution. Mass-produced marbles are typically packed in bulk bags or boxes. In contrast, collector marbles might receive special packaging to protect their artistic surfaces. From there, they make their way to toy stores, collector shops, and industrial applications, ultimately ending up in the hands of children and collectors around the world. What began as simple silica sand has been transformed through heat, skill, and precision engineering into a perfect sphere of glass, a marble ready for its next adventure. The marble-making process shows how something seemingly simple can involve complex processes and careful engineering. The next time you hold a glass marble, take a moment to appreciate the journey it took. From molten glass at temperatures hot enough to melt metal, through precise forming and cooling processes, to the polished sphere in your hand. So whether you're using marbles for traditional games, collecting rare specimens, or simply appreciating their beauty, you now understand the remarkable process behind their creation. These tiny glass orbs represent centuries of evolving craftsmanship and industrial innovation, continuing to captivate us with their simple perfection. Thank you for watching this episode of Everyday Nuggets and exploring how glass marbles are made. If you enjoyed learning about this fascinating process, please like this video and consider subscribing for more content that reveals the hidden stories behind everyday objects. Until next time.